Good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, we have breaking news. CDC officials have just confirmed that Amber Vinson, the second Dallas nurse with Ebola, may have had symptoms of the virus as early as last Friday. That is 3 days earlier than previously reported. If this is true, she could have exposed many more passengers on the flight she took from Dallas to Cleveland on Friday, a trip home where she and her bridesmaids spent hours at a crowded bridal shop. Workers at the bridal shop today are now being monitored for symptoms. Now, Vincent did call the CDC to report a low-grade fever on her way home. On her trip, she was going to go back to Dallas on Monday. The CDC did not stop her from taking that trip. Also at this hour, Nina Pham, the other Dallas nurse with Ebola, is on her way to the hospital at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. Pham had been receiving treatment at Texas Presbyterian in Dallas. That's a hospital the CDC says now is not able to care for patients with Ebola. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We want to get first, though, to this breaking news. This is a major development. Dr. Sanjay Gupta is on the ground in Atlanta. That's where Amber Vinson is in the fight of her life at Emory University Hospital. Sanjay, you just talked to a federal official about Vinson's case, and what are you learning?
Well, we are hearing some of these same things, trying to call into question a little bit of the timeline of when she in fact got sick. There is some question about whether she was sick even before she, or had symptoms, I should say, before she flew from Dallas to Cleveland. But also even in Cleveland, there was a lot made of this 99.5 temperature before she got on the plane from Cleveland to Dallas. The report was that she called the CDC. They said to go ahead with that. What happens in these situations, they go back and look at the contacts. It's the contact tracing. As part of that contact tracing, Aaron, they also asked the contacts, how sick do you think Amber was? Tell me about how she was doing. And that's what's starting to call into some of these questions. Some of the contacts, we don't have more details on who the contacts are specifically, are calling into question and raising the possibility that she may have had more symptoms than just this 99.5 temperature. Now keep in mind, Aaron, the way that this works typically is self-reporting. So Amber did the right thing, it sounds like, in calling the CDC and reporting this 99.5 temperature. But if there were more symptoms that she did not report, obviously that's something that people are going to want to know, and they're going to need to know, because it becomes a question then of how potentially infectious or contagious was she at any given time. I don't think there's any suggestion still that the people on the plane rides were necessarily more at risk, but who was she having close contact with, and how sick was she at that time, Aaron?
And Sanjay, this does, though, look, again, it throws into question everything we've heard about the timeline from the CDC. I mean, they're coming out now and being honest. Hey, look, we've got new information. It's changing. But still, this is a pretty frightening thing that she could have had symptoms, because as you've reported, the longer you're sick, the more infectious you get, the more dangerous your symptoms can be, the more Ebola's in your system. So now we're talking about possibly another few days.
No question, and this really needs to be nailed down. If she was sick on Friday and even potentially getting worse over those 3 days, that changes the entire investigation a bit in terms of just exactly how concerned her contact should be about this. But also, what we heard from the CDC was this notion of controlled movement. It's going to be a term that people are going to get to know, but what it basically means is if you've had contact with someone with Ebola, this is according to Dr. Frieden, if you've had that contact with someone with Ebola, you should not get on a passenger commercial airline flight. You can only fly charter, you can get in a car and drive, but a commercial airline flight should have been off the table. That first flight should not have happened regardless, it sounds like, Aaron, even if she had no symptoms at all, because of the concern of possible symptoms. That didn't happen in this case. She took 2 flights, and now we're hearing she may have in fact been more symptomatic than we previously heard.
Pretty frightening, and obviously a major development in this story. Sanjay's going to be with us in just a moment, but county health officials in Ohio are now in a race against time, asking anyone who may have shopped at the bridal shop that Amber Vinson spent several hours at on Saturday, October 11th. They're saying anyone who was there, contact health officials immediately.